kind of like, they're borderline porn because they are mostly featuring like cute, sultry, naked women doing things like undressing and posing nude, but at the same time, they're amazing for actual reference for somebody who wants to learn how to draw, because they take pictures of the human form from every conceivable angle and pose, and they do it for males too. There's some books that are male and female doing things together. There are some that are just females. There are some that are females in cosplay. So I try to go on Amazon and get a pose book whenever I can. I have 2 right now, and they're really, really helpful. I really want to get some more because they're cool, especially if your goal is to draw comic book characters in action poses. Action poses are something that's really hard to find reference for because, again, you're going to see a person standing around or walking or, I don't know, going grocery shopping every day of your life. That's something that's very common. But how often do you see somebody, doing a kickflip or doing a somersault or fighting with a sword? That's not something that your brain is used to seeing. So pose books are a really good way of getting those kinds of reference. Like, here's an example of a page from a pose book. So you see how it's all these different fighting poses? And this is a really good one. One day I want to own this book because it's all sword fighting poses. But let's look for another pose to draw. Let's look for a really good one. Yes, I have used Senshi Stock. She's the closest thing we have in the West to a Japanese pose book. Actually, I'll go check out her page right now because she's an awesome lady. If you ever need drawing reference and you want it to be completely PG-13 and not R-rated, Senshi Stock on DeviantArt is an excellent page for things that are pose reference. I'm going to use one of her poses right now to draw from. And the thing is that she eventually grew to a point where she started bringing in other models. So it's not just her. There are males, there are different body types. So if you're trying to find someone that's more full-figured or you're trying to find someone who's very thin, she's got all different kinds of reference on her page. So I am very thankful that she started this DeviantArt. Alright, let's try to find something. Oh, this is a cool one. Okay. I like this pose. Alright. So yeah, this is from her DeviantArt page. And this is a water bending pose because water is my element. So that's our first figure. Let's start on our second figure featuring Miss Saki right here. So again, I'm going to go through the same process that I used to draw this figure right here. I adjusted live in about 20 minutes. I'm going to do that right here. Alright, so we're going to start with the action line. So the action line is described to animators as the line, if you had to just put one line through your subject that expresses the pose that they're doing. You know, so she's kind of, you want to look at basically what position is her spine in, if we were to break this down. And her spine is doing that. Her spine is curved back, if that makes sense. So that's the line I'm going to use for my action. This is the action line. And right at top, we're going to draw our sphere for the head. And then we're going to go down to the torso and draw that bean shape. Torso, as I described earlier, is really easy to break down into the shape of a bean. And if you wanted to break it down, the torso is basically your collarbones, your neck, and your rib cage. And then, of course, all your organs and guts and fleshy bits. And then your spine comes out of that. So again, I like to break that down into a bean shape. So that's what I'm going to be drawing here. This weirdo bean shape for her torso. And then you draw this in pink so that you can clearly see what I'm trying to explain. We're going to try, because this is more of an action pose, it's not just a figure standing there static, you also need to figure out the tilt of the shoulders and the hips. So her shoulders are tilted this way, and her hips are tilted this way. So essentially, this figure can be broken down into, if you were to draw a stick figure, hopefully that makes sense. And that's what we're trying to capture over here with our figure drawing. The tilt of her arms and the tilt of her hips. I'm going to add in our shoulders, which are just spheres. And then we're going to do our lower torso, or the hip region, which is another sphere. It's a sphere that you're going to add cylinders to, because this is essentially what your pelvis looks like. It's like a sphere with little butterfly wings. And then your legs are these weird cylinders that come from those butterfly wings. So that's what we're going to draw here, is a sphere with little butterfly wings. It's going to be her legs. Hi, Rydith Mochi. Thanks for joining my stream. And I'm so glad that you hung up the Follicle Leaf poster and that you like it. I'm really happy to hear that you liked it. That is my favorite anime of all time. So I'm trying to do this stream to help people who would like to learn how to draw. So if I'm doing anything that's going too fast or you don't understand what I'm doing, just let me know and post it in the chat and I will do my best to explain it further. Alright, now that we got those little cylinder bits for her thighs, I'm essentially turning her into, whatchamacallit, those like armature wooden doll things. I don't actually use those things, but they're fun. They're fun to mess with, especially if you're just trying to learn. I'm going to draw spheres for her knees. Now this is important to what I was saying earlier when I was drawing this figure right here. The kneecap is going to be this odd looking pyramid shape. It's basically like a four-sided triangle. This is the kneecap. The kneecap is always going to be pointed in the same direction as the foot. So what that means is her knee in this picture is pointed outwards because her foot is pointed outwards. Her kneecap over here is pointed this way because her foot is pointed this way. There is no way on a human body without breaking your leg that her kneecap would be on this side of her leg and her foot pointed this way. That just does not happen. That is impossible without breaking your leg. You always want to make sure that your kneecaps are pointed in the same direction as your foot. So on this action figure, her kneecaps must follow the same position as her foot. Oh, I'm so sorry you broke your leg. I've actually never broken a bone before, which I probably shouldn't say that because then I will. But I'm really sorry that happened to you. That does indeed sound very painful. Sorry, I'm not trying to trigger anyone here. I'm just trying to teach how to draw. I'm trying to point out the things that I see that are very common mistakes in a lot of people's work.